get through to us soon.
Hello?
Oh, we can hear you. Great.
Sorry, so sorry.
Right. Do you know what it was? What the problem was?
Yeah, no, I don't know. I just tapped all the buttons I could find.
Perfect. Best way, even IT people say, yeah, just turn it off and on again. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's so lovely to have you here. Thank you so much for tuning in.
No problem.
So for everybody who has never met this wonderful professional medical science person, Suki Wright, and I pronounced that right, didn't I?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, cool. And you're based at Aston University, correct?
That's right, Aston University in Birmingham, yeah.
Birmingham, yes. And could you tell everybody what your actual job is, what you do, please?
Yeah, so I have this title called Clinical Research Career Development Fellow, which essentially means that I spend the majority of my work researching into epilepsy and particular types of epilepsy. And I also do some clinical work just for sort of half a day a week, but most of it is now research.
And what does that mean, research? Like, you've got a little lab, he says. What do you actually like to do in this lab to help us?
In this lab. So I'm really interested in a type of epilepsy that is associated with the immune system. So normally the immune system is supposed to kind of protect us, but there's these molecules that are produced called autoantibodies, and sometimes we know why, sometimes we don't know why. And these autoantibodies can cross into the brain and actually cause seizures and other problems such as neuropsychiatric features, movement disorders. And I'm particularly interested in why these antibodies, these autoantibodies, actually cause seizures. So that's what I'm looking at in the laboratory. I was thinking about it the other day, and I think I met my first patient with this type of disease, encephalitis stroke epilepsy, about 10 years ago. So I've been interested in this for quite some time. I think one of the reasons is because it's actually a treatable form of encephalitis, stroke epilepsy, in that you can use drugs that kind of dampen down the immune system to try and treat them.
Encephalitis, is that inflammation of the brain?
Yeah, that's right. So, and seizures are quite an important part of that. And sometimes you can get the seizures without the other features. But usually they all go together. And other autoimmune diseases can give you seizures as well. So it's just looking at the relationship between the antibodies and seizures and the brain, which is what I'm most interested in. And the antibodies that are produced actually, as well as, so they usually attack sort of one particular protein, and the particular protein that I'm interested in is called the NMDA receptor, and that's really important for learning, for memory. So
I have some, please. That would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see why, you know, you get these kind of problems with this type of epilepsy. So hopefully what I'm trying to do is trying to get treatments that, trying to investigate new treatments that might actually target the proteins that the antibodies are targeting, so that you can actually have less immunotherapy, because when you give patients immunotherapy, it dampens down their whole immune system, not just the antibodies that you want to get rid of. So if you could have a mixture of treatments to try and help the, the protein that's under attack, but also give the immunotherapy, then you might be able to reduce the dose of that and then reduce the side effects. So that's, in a quite a large nutshell, what I'm trying to do. So that's the lab. But I also work in the hospital with patients to try and see what effects sort of long-term these kind of epileptic changes have on their brains. So we use MRI scans, we use different types of scans, and we also do a lot of neuropsychology assessments. And I'm in a really fortunate position to be able to collaborate with people at Aston University who are doing lots of kind of research into developmental outcomes in children anyway. So there's been a great meeting of minds to focus some of that research on children with epilepsy and encephalitis.
And most of the children who have epilepsy and encephalitis, do they tend to have learning disabilities too? Or can they just be like if there is such a thing, a book standard child, and this just happens? And
yeah. Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And So autoimmune encephalitis and epilepsy can just affect anybody. So yeah, not necessarily children with learning disabilities or anything like that. So anybody could be affected: child, adult, elderly person. So yeah,
What causes encephalitis then?
So the only risk factor, one of the main risk factors, when the first cases were described, were young women who actually had ovarian tumours called teratomas.
Right.
So initially it was thought that it was related to a type of cancer, but now we know that it can actually occur without cancer. So we don't know why they develop the sort of antibody encephalitis that I'm looking into.
Oh, wow. Well, that would be a great thing for us to find out at some point, wouldn't it? Like the whole prevention thing. But yeah, long way away, I guess.
Yeah, but there's so many people that are working in this field that are interested in, why certain people get it, and really everyone's focused on just trying to improve outcomes. Essentially, when you have this brain disorder and disease and these antibodies attack your brain, we really just want to try and improve long-term outcomes, because the brain proteins that are under attack, particularly in children, they're kind of undergoing development, as is the rest of the child's brain. So I've worried that it's even more susceptible to kind of these attacks. So you really want to try and catch it early, treat it early, and then try and give as much neuropsychological support early as you can to ensure the best outcomes for the children.
I'm so happy you mentioned neuropsychological support, because it's something that's often left by the side. Yeah, we deal with the neurological side and leave out the psychological side, and it's mental health is so key. I think for us lot. And doing the research, when we last spoke, you mentioned that you're only really able to do this because out of the kindness of the hearts of children who've unfortunately died. Is that right?
But usually it's children. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Most of the children with the encephalitis actually survive. So their parents and patients will donate samples of their blood that we can actually extract the antibodies from. And investigate further. So actually, because the treatment is getting better, the mortality is lower for these diseases. I think what we were talking about, you're right, was patients who are undergoing epilepsy surgery. And what we're able to do there is, if we get the consent from the patients, which we often do, and the parents is able to have a small piece of that brain tissue that's going to be resected, and then we're able to do some experiments using that brain tissue to test drugs, etc., and see what's happening with this really difficult to treat epilepsy.
That's so cool. And
so you're right. None of my research would be possible without the kindness of people who are willing to participate, give their time, donate samples. And it's a real privilege to be able to work with human-derived samples, because obviously it's the gold standard when you're trying to do the research. You want to actually work with molecules that have come from affected patients, because that's as close as you can get to the kind of real life situation. So yeah, just a massive thank you to everybody who does actually participate in this kind of research, because it really does help, and it does make a difference.
Yeah, and I thank them too. Not that I've had encephalitis, but like you were saying, it could happen to any of us. It could happen tonight, it could happen tomorrow, it could happen to somebody that you love. And another thing about research is you often find what you're not looking for, right? So you could find out these random bits of information which might be suitable or useful for somebody with Alzheimer's or whatever, right? That's the great thing about research, I think.
Absolutely, and it turns out that one discovery often leads to another. So you never seem to finish, because you answer one question and then that throws up 5 more questions, which could be helpful and useful. So then it takes you down its own path. But hopefully, and some of those paths don't end up anywhere, but you just need that one path to get somewhere, and that could make a difference to somebody. So that would be good.
Yes. Do you ever, this is a quite random seeming question, but do you ever have images of pieces of brain, neurons and stuff? Because I think what's getting loads of us average Joes interested is we see these most beautiful images of neurons and neuronal activity. Do you have anything like that from your research?
Yeah, we do. We do have some live recordings from brain cells that have been from human tissue, and also some of the pictures. And they really are, they're stunning structures. You're absolutely right. It's always it's always great to get to the microscope room and have a look at your samples, because they're invariably always really stunning pictures, beautiful.
It'd be great to get more.
But I'm a bit biased because I'm working in neuroscience maybe, but yeah, I agree, they're very, very pretty pictures.
Well, and also because they look so different, the different types of neurons, right? They don't all look the same. And some look scraggly and a bit skank, and you're like, well, that's not very interesting, well, not very pretty, but some are just amazing. And and it's great to have people looking at brain tissue in a different way. It's not just about horrid seizures, and it's not just about depression, anxiety. It's actually beautiful. And I think that we can look at the work that you're doing as beautiful too, not just from an aesthetic point of view, but just for the difference it is making to people in the future. And that's why funding is so important, right?
Totally agree. So thank you so much for what you're doing. I mean, a lot of this research, a lot of my research has been funded by Epilepsy Research UK, who fund loads of epilepsy research in this country, and also the Encephalitis Society, which again are absolutely committed to helping survivors of encephalitis, and also the Birmingham Women and Children's Hospital Charity Fund as well. So yeah, I've had a lot of support from different charities, and it's been, again, wouldn't be able to do it without it really. So yeah, it's been really good.
Thank you to them. Okay, so if people want to find out more information about what you're doing or contact you for any reason, how should they do that?
So there's loads of information on the Aston University website, and also actually Epilepsy Research UK, I think they've still got the details of the project.
Cool. So, all right.
They're probably the best places to look at the moment for details of the work that we're doing.